Okay, you're live.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our meeting this evening of the April 22nd, 2021 Zoning Board of Appeals. I'd like to start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Commissioner Acevedo.
Vaughn, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Good flag.
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I would just like to make a motion before we start with the other items on our calendar. I'd like to make a motion to add an item on the calendar, and it will be in the matter of the settlement of the offset issue in the Haberman litigation. Would someone like to second the motion?
I'll second.
Chairman Morelli has introduced a motion to add an item to the calendar. Commissioner Brooks has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton,
Grant.
Commissioner
Great.
Creighton,
As this will allow us to start our appeal process, I say to yes.
this is to add to the calendar. Commissioner Acevedo,
Grant,
Commissioner Brooks,
Grant,
Commissioner Reckner,
Grant,
Commissioner Leonetti,
Grant.
Chairman Morelli.
Grant.
The motion to add the item to the calendar has been granted.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll begin with you'll take attendance now on open for voting.
I believe our counsel was going to give a brief description of the item that was added to the
Okay.
calendar.
Okay, very good.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Rich Barrios here. I'm joined by Paul Allo, our outside counsel, and Joseph Lupo, my assistant corporation counsel here. He'll be covering the meeting tonight for you guys, but I'll be presenting on this item. So as everyone may know, the Haberman litigation, which was against the city and named a zoning board as well, resulted in a decision in order to the tune of $131 million. Another portion of that order from the judge in that decision ordered that there be a separate inquest or hearing to determine how much of a $23 million settlement that the city was entitled to. That $23 million settlement was from another party called Zandercourt. So the parties have worked together. Mr. Allo, our outside counsel, has worked together with opposing counsel to come up with a settlement of $20.5 million out of a potential $23 million. What this does is it takes $20.5 million as an offset to the final judgment entered against the city. So what this board is basically voting on today is, they're basically by your vote would be consenting to this settlement. For your information, the city council has also voted on this matter at the last council meeting and unanimously voted in favor of it. I urge you to do the same. I'm here if you have any questions from me.
Okay, so procedurally now, will we open this up to the public at this point, or should we now start with the open for voting and then go back to this? Since usually what we do is, we'll hear the items that are open and then we begin with any new business.
At your leisure, Commissioner.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree with that.
All right, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we at least get the items for voting out of the way, and then we can come back to this as the first matter before we start the other cases. And this way, if anyone has any comments, any members of the board have any questions, any members of the audience have any questions that want to raise hands, we can take that and then we'll proceed with the other cases. So, Ms. Lynch, why don't we go on with and call the open for voting items at this time?
Okay, let me just take attendance real quick. Commissioner Alton.
Right.
Present.
Commissioner Creighton,
Present.
Commissioner Acevedo,
present,
Commissioner Reckner,
present,
Commissioner Brooks,
present,
Commissioner Leonetti,
Present.
Chairman Morelli.
Present.
Case number 3203, application of 24 Equine Living LLC of 651 West Penn Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.3B height, 9-105.3D side yard, 9-105.3D building area, 9-105.3K expanding use to convert a one-family use into a two-family use at 24 East Pine Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 92, Lot 62, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Who will make a motion on this application?
I mean, as much as these are issues for the city council to take up and change the zoning, I would vote to deny as we don't really have the authority to change the use of an area.
Commissioner Creighton has introduced a motion to deny the application. Who will second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Leonetti has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton,
Aye.
Commissioner Creighton,
Deny.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Deny.
Commissioner Reckner,
Deny.
Commissioner Leonetti,
Deny.
Chairman Morelli.
You muted, Rocco.
Rocco, you muted.
Deny.
This application has been denied. Case number 3204, application of 24 East Pine Living LLC of 651 West Penn Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance on the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.3B height, 9-105.3D side yard, 9-105.3E rear yard, 9-105.3F building area, 9-105.3K expanding use to convert a one-family use into a two-family use at 26 East Pine Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 92, Lot 64, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Who will introduce a motion on this application?
I'll introduce a motion to deny, but I just want to reiterate because there's comments coming in about trying to help the community and approve the affordable housing. And I just want to, piggyback on Commissioner Creighton about how the zoning board cannot change the use here. This is not something that we have the parameters to be able to change.
Commissioner Reckner has introduced a motion to deny the application. Who will second?
I will second.
Commissioner Creighton has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton,
Deny.
Commissioner Creighton,
Deny.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Deny.
Commissioner Reckner,
You muted.
Deny.
Commissioner Leonetti,
Aye.
Chairman Morelli.
Deny.
This application has been denied. Case number 3205, application of 82 East Pine Living LLC of 651 West Penn Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance on the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.3C front yard, 9-105.3D side yard, 9-105.3 rear yard, 9-105.3 building area, 9-105.3K expanding use to convert the existing one-family house into a two-family house at 82 East Pine Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 92, Lot 195, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Who will introduce a motion on this application?
I'll introduce a motion to deny for the same reasons as previously stated.
Commissioner Alton has introduced a motion to deny the application. Who will second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Creighton has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton,
Deny.
Commissioner Creighton,
Deny.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Deny.
Commissioner Reckner,
Deny.
Commissioner Leonetti,
Deny.
Chairman Morelli.
Deny.
This application has been denied. Case number 3206, application of 114 East Pine Living LLC of 651 West Penn Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.2C front yard, 9-105.2D side yard, 9-105.2E rear yard, 9-105.2H density, 9-105.2I minimum lot size, 9-105.2K expanding use to convert a one-family use into a two-family use at 114 East Pine Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 105, Lot 154, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Who will introduce a motion on this application?
I'll make a motion to deny because the case does not meet the requirements for the use variance.
Commissioner Leonetti has introduced a motion to deny the application. Who will second?
I'll second it.
Chairman Morelli has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton,
Aye.
Commissioner Creighton,
Deny.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Deny.
Commissioner Reckner. Muted.
Deny.
Janetti,
deny,
Chairman Morelli.
Deny.
This application has been denied. Case number 3207, application of 118 East Pine Living LLC of 651 West Penn Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.2C front yard, 9-105.2D side yard, 9-105.2E rear yard, 9-105.2H density, 9-105.2I minimum lot size, 9-105.2K expanding use, to convert a one-family use into a two-family use at 118 East Pine Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 105, Lot 155, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Who will introduce a motion on this application?
There's a motion to deny based on prior cases.
Commissioner Alton has introduced a motion to deny the application. Who will second?
A second.
Commissioner Reckner has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton,
Deny.
Commissioner Creighton,
Deny.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Deny.
Commissioner Reckner,
Deny.
Commissioner Leonetti,
deny,
Chairman Morelli.
You're muted, Rocco.
Rocco, you muted.
Okay, I'm sorry. Deny. I don't want my dog barking.
This application has been denied. Case number 3208, application of 88 East Pine Living LLC of 651 West Penn Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.3C front yard, 9-105.3D side yard, 9-105.3K expanding use for construction of a new two-family house at 88 East Pine Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 92, Lot 206, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Who will introduce a motion on this application?
I'll make a motion to deny for the same reasons.
Commissioner
I'll
Creighton has
second.
introduced a motion to deny the application. Who will second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Reckner has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton,
Deny.
Commissioner Creighton,
Deny.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Deny.
Commissioner Reckner,
Deny.
Commissioner Leonetti,
deny,
Chairman Morelli.
Deny it. I'd like to make a statement, and this is not, this is a personal statement, is not representative of anybody else's opinion on the board. I will say now that we voted on these cases in its entirety, I feel it's appropriate for me to just speak briefly, again, my own opinion on these past cases that we voted on. On an emotional level, I want affordable housing. I want to see affordable housing in this area passed. However, because there were multiple homes in an area, it would amount to changing a rezoning of an area. These weren't individual cases that were just heard one at a time, one this month, one next month, one another month. But basically, by hearing all these cases at once, it essentially rose, in my opinion, to the level of rezoning of an area, which the zoning board does not have the power to do. That's number one. Number two, because the presentation was very about providing affordable housing, Habitat for Humanity was involved in it and so forth. I don't feel that there was, to me, a satisfactory level of protection for the tenants who would have been living in this development to have afforded to buy these houses, because there was no cap on what the purchase price of the home would be. There was no other protection other than the right of first refusal. And in my opinion, it could have created a pipe dream for families who would have lived in a home with really no true chance of ownership. And for that reason, I would like to see this reworked. I would like to see possibly the area rezoned for true affordable housing. And at the same time, I would like to see a real opportunity for people who are tenants to be able to buy that house, not some stated right of first refusal that just wasn't enough for me.
Well said.
And I feel that by voting in that manner, I feel that I am doing the residents a greater service for the future to provide true affordable housing that they truly can purchase. Okay,
Next case to vote on, case number 3209, application of Joanne Flynn of 530 West Olive Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.1A use, 9-105.1H density, 9-1121 off-street parking for conversion of one family house into a two-family house at 530 West Olive Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 26, lot 25 through 26 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Introduce a motion on this application.
I'll make a motion to deny.
Commissioner Alton has introduced a motion to deny the application. Who will second?
I'll second that.
Joe has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton,
Deny.
Commissioner Creighton,
Deny.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Deny.
Commissioner Brooks,
Deny.
Commissioner Reckner,
Deny.
Commissioner Leonetti,
deny,
Chairman Morelli.
deny.
This application has been denied. Case number 3210, application of Alphonse Martone of 100 Old Lake Street, Harrison, New York, for a variance in the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.19B height, 9-105.19C lot area, 9-105.19D building area, 9-105.19E front yard, 9-105.19F side yard, 9-105.19G rear yard, for a new three-story house at 16 Minnesota Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 251, lot 4, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Who will introduce a motion on this application?
make a motion to grant as per revised plans, which eliminated the bulkhead on the roof.
Commissioner Leonetti's introduced a motion to grant per amended plans. Who will second?
I'll second it
Commissioner Alton has seconded
for
the
amended
motion
plans.
for amended plans. Commissioner Alton,
Grant per amended plans.
Commissioner Creighton,
Grant per amended plans that reduce the need for height variance.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Grant as per amended plans.
Commissioner Brooks,
Grant as per amended plans.
Commissioner Reckner,
Grant per amended plans.
Commissioner Leonetti,
Grant per amended plans.
Chairman Morelli.
Grant is per amended plans.
This application has been granted per the amended plans. Case number 3214, application of 1215 West Park Avenue LLC, care of Lisa Carney of 136 Mark Lane, Atlantic Beach, New York, for a variance on the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-113.2G off-street parking for new off-street parking in the front yard at 1215 West Park Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 58, block 133, lot 163 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. We'll introduce a motion on this application.
I'll make a motion to grant, keeping in mind not to expand the current curb cut.
Commissioner Acevedo has introduced a motion to grant with conditions. Who will second?
I'll second with the same condition.
Commissioner Creighton has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton,
Conditions.
Commissioner Creighton,
Grant with condition.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner Brooks,
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner Reckner,
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner Leonetti,
Grant with condition.
Chairman Morelli.
Grant with conditions.
This application has been granted with conditions stated on the record. That's it for the open for voting.
Are we going back to,
Let's go back now to the resolution that the board needs to vote on in the matter of the Haberman case. I believe that, first off, if there are any members of the board that would have any questions of our counsel, we'll entertain those first. Are there any members of the board who have any questions? All right,
This doesn't affect the overall judgment against the city. It's just, we're just addressing a settlement regarding a small portion of it. Is
yes,
that correct?
and it appears that if the settlement were not to go forward, that basically interest would accumulate or continue to accumulate on the entire 131 million until the case is appealed. And since this is approximately $20 million, that this would be deducted from the amount that is going to be running on the interest being paid until the appeal is heard. So it would be saving the city a substantial amount of money every month, because while the case goes to appeal, which my understanding is can take 1 to 2 years, while the interest clock runs about $1 million a month, that $20.3 million or so would be removed from that 131 million. So the city would be paying interest on approximately, well, about 109 million, let's say,
But
110
it
million.
would allow, it would expedite resolution of the larger
That's
amount.
correct.
And
That's correct.
That's the accrual of interest. that
That's
would be saved
correct.
there.
That's correct.
And Rocco, just this would allow us the ability to start the appeal process on the balance, correct?
That is correct. And again, as we've been, stated and advised, and this is public knowledge, the interest on an appeal case, which can take, again, 1 to 2 years to get to that level of court, will run during that time period. So of course, the city, when we would like to speed this up, because I feel that, at a cost of 1 million a month, even just waiting for the appeal to be heard is a substantial amount of money. So, in my opinion on this is anything that we can do to move it along will certainly save the city and the taxpayers more money.
Great.
Are there any other questions or questions for myself or for council or for Mr. Allo, Council Allo, who's present, I believe, still? If not, Robin, if there are people from the public who have hands up and they would like to ask questions, by all means, let's hear from the public.
There are no hands raised.
All right. So at that case, I would move to accept and grant the settlement.
In the matter of the settlement of the offset issue of the Haberman litigation, Chairman Riley has introduced a motion to grant. Will second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Leonetti has seconded the motion. Commissioner Alton?
Grant.
Commissioner Creighton?
Grant,
Commissioner Acevedo?
Grant,
Commissioner Brooks?
Grant,
Commissioner Reckner?
Grant,
Commissioner Leonetti?
Grant.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant.
We're going to move on to the regular calendar now. There are 2 zoning board members
Thank you,
that
Commissioners.
excuse themselves in the meeting for the rest of the meeting. Commissioner Alton and Commissioner Reckner, is that correct?
Correct. Thank you.
that is correct. Thank you.
Okay, everybody. Bye-bye.
thank you.
Thank you.
Case number
Thank you, folks.
216, application of William King, 101 Ohio Avenue, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.5C front yard for a new front yard deck at 101 Ohio Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 58, block 114, lot 50 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Okay, good evening. The applicant is present. They turned on.
Yes, hold on. They're coming on. Mr. King, you can unmute yourself, please. And if you could let me know if there's anybody else here with you that would like to come in. I'm not sure if your architect's on or if you're doing the presentation yourself.
I believe it's just me.
Okay,
Robert,
and you need to
just to
speak a little louder.
Okay.
Robert,
Now,
just a clarification, is this 3216 or 3215?
3216, 3215 adjourned from this month.
Thank you.
3215, right?
3215.
16. 15 is adjourned. That's the cell,
Oh, okay.
Verizon Wireless.
Okay.
All right, Mr. King, Ms. King,
good evening.
good evening, folks. All right. Please describe for us the deck that you're looking to build on the block. Now, 101 Ohio, you are on the borderline of East Atlantic Beach and Long Beach, correct?
Yeah, the land.
All right. All right, so please let us know the dimensions of the front yard deck. Is this a result of a raise or a new construction? And we can proceed by starting with that.
No, it's not the result of a raise. It's just my current deck is in a state of disrepair, and we are looking to knock it down and build a new one.
Okay, what's the dimension of the deck?
Pulling that up right now. I have all stuff to pay for.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I think there's a
Yeah, he's
sound
very
problem.
muffled. He's very
Yeah.
muffled.
Yeah, you might be speaking too close to your computer. Maybe you could just kind of step away from it. Just talk a little more clearly. Go ahead.
Is this any better?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Pulling up.
Go ahead.
No, sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Now, what was the dimension of that deck again?
The dimension of the deck is off of the house is 8'6".
Okay,
And
and that deck will be how far from the property line?
everything is set back. I believe the deck itself is 1 foot from the property line, with the column being 3 foot.
All right, and now is the deck in front of the home? Does it wrap around the side of the home?
No, it does not wrap around the side. It just runs the entire length of the home.
Okay. Now, what was there before the deck existed? You talked about an old deck that was there. What was the old deck made of? What is a cement porch? Was it?
It's masonry, yes, it's looking block. I submitted pictures. I don't know if you have them, but it's in a state of disrepair, to say the least.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that from it was more of a just basically steps.
Yes.
And then the part that had the ship's wheel on it was actually part of that. That's all coming down, right?
Coming down.
Okay. And I see that there are similar decks in the adjacent area, looking at the architectural drawings. I'm verifying the dimensions that you described. Yeah, it's about 8. Okay, it's just a standard PVC railing on the deck.
That's it, yep.
Staircase coming off the deck down to the street. Okay, I have no further questions. Anybody else have any questions from the board?
No, I think it's good that you incorporate the stairs into the footprint of the deck, so. I think this is in line with what we.
Well, I think the steps are on the side of the house, but it's only the stairs and the I don't see another way to do it. I don't think with this plan. The deck is not extended. It's only stairs that are in the side yard there.
Yeah.
I think it's a reasonable approach on this one.
Agreed.
All right. Yeah, it sounds good. Any other members of the board? Anyone from the audience want to speak in favor or against?
There are no hands raised.
All right, then I move to grant.
I'll second.
Who second?
I did.
Commissioner Leonetti, second.
Case number 3216, application of William King of 101 Ohio Avenue, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.5C front yard for a new front yard deck at 101 Ohio Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 58, block 114, lot 50, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Chairman Morelli has introduced a motion to grant the application. Commissioner Linay has seconded the motion. Commissioner Creighton,
Grant.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Grant,
Commissioner Brooks,
Grant,
Commissioner Leonetti,
Grant.
Chairman Morelli.
Grant.
This application has been granted.
Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. Next case, please.
Case number 3217, application of Yulia RK of 568 Magnolia Boulevard, Long Beach, New York, for a variance on the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.2B height for a new third-story addition at 568 Magnolia Boulevard, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 67, lot 73, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Good evening. Applicants present, please.
Dennis Kelly is representing the applicant, and I don't see him on the list.
You want to move on to the next case and we'll come back to it if he comes?
There might be somebody here. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Dennis, is that you?
What? No problem.
Can everyone, I'm just gonna make a suggestion. Can everyone please keep their microphones off? Yeah, can everybody please mute their mics? There's a lot of feedback, there's a lot of, and it's causing some problems with the sound. So perhaps everyone can keep their mics off until they have to speak.
Dennis, you're in Darren Gallo's office, but you're here just to speak on the new cases, correct?
I'm actually in my own office,
Oh,
Robin,
okay.
and I have my clients here on both of these cases. So I
Okay.
am ready if you are.
Okay, Rocco.
Okay, yeah, Robin, your sound is gunning out again. All right, good evening, Mr. Kelly. Just give us your name and address and let's move forward.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Dennis Kelly, 120 West Park Avenue, Suite 311, Long Beach, New York, 11561. Here on behalf of the applicants, Yulia and Carlos Arake.
Okay, so now, what is the reason for putting the third story addition on, Mr. Kelly?
The primary reason, I'll have my clients testify to this a little bit more after I speak, Mr. Chairman, is to accommodate their growing family. They have 3 children, 18, 14, and 7. Currently, they live in one floor of the house, which is what we'll refer to as the first floor. The ground floor level is a second apartment, which they rent. They're owner occupiers of the premises. What they're seeking is a variance for height to add the third story addition. The zone requires 25 feet. We're asking for 28 feet, 4.5 inches. So a difference of 3 feet, 4.5 inches. Currently on the ground floor, there's an existing 3-bedroom apartment. The first floor, which my clients live in, is an existing living room, kitchen, dining area, 1 bathroom and 3 bedrooms. The proposed second floor, that would be the third story addition, is what we hope is a master bedroom, master bathroom, 2 bedrooms, another bathroom, a new laundry room, and a small living space just outside of the master bedroom. The stairs are interior to the property. I respectfully submit to the zoning board that what's proposed is not out of character for the neighborhood. The height's not far off from many of the homes on Magnolia Boulevard, West Hudson, and West Fulton. There are a number of the homes that are in fact 3 stories. I've submitted 14 photographs for the consideration of the zoning board. I took the photographs myself. Some of the homes are on Magnolia Boulevard. I've listed them digitally as to their location. Some of the homes are located on West Hudson between Magnolia and National, and some of the homes are on West Fulton between Magnolia and National. Due to the first floor, the height addition of 3 feet, 4.5 inches is not substantial. And due to the fact that the height addition of 3 feet, 4.5 inches is not substantial, and the home has a yard in the northern side yard of almost 13 feet in width, the additional height will not be detrimental to nearby properties. To accommodate a growing family in Nassau County and Long Beach, there really are no alternatives to the variances requested for a growing family. It's respectfully submitted to the board that 3 feet, 4.5 inches is not substantial, especially when considered in relation to the other many tall homes in the neighborhood. And the hardship here that the Arakes are dealing with is the growing family and lack of space. With that, Mr. Chairman, unless you or any of your fellow commissioners have any questions for me, I would ask that Yulia and Carlos Arake testify before the board. Rocco, I think you're muted.
Mr. Kelly, just quickly, before we proceed with the applicants themselves, question is, so now at the present time, you said that it is a occupied apartment, and I'm assuming that there's a CO for 2 family, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So at the present time, what is the habitable space apartment that they have? What's the size of it?
Well, it takes up the entire area of the size of the house. It includes an existing 2 existing bedrooms,
Okay.
actually 3 existing bedrooms, an existing living space, which would include an open kitchen plan and the living room and a bathroom. That's what's on the ground floor on grade.
Okay, question. And no violations or anything existing on the property at the present time, correct?
Not that any of us are aware of.
Okay, very good. The other question now I would have is, well, I'll ask those of the clients, I guess, in terms of, you know, the roof pitch, if there could have been any modification to the roof pitch, if you feel that you're at the minimum roof pitch to shave any of that 3 feet off at all, or this is it basically.
I mean, obviously you can address my clients, Mr. Chairman, but I don't think you can go any lower on the roof pitch.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, it doesn't seem that steep, but,
I think,
all right.
I think it's pretty reasonable.
Okay, so
Dennis,
let's-
where's the parking in this house? Is that a garage? I don't see a garage in the ground floor plan.
No, they park on the street. There's I'll let them testify further to that, but they park on the street. That area, Commissioner Leonetti, between West Hudson and Magnolia is usually pretty open. And when I say usually, almost always, unless there's a major event at the rec. And the parking, you know, encroaches up the boulevard, but otherwise that's very open. I mean, you can park there almost anytime.
I'm surprised the building department didn't put that in there.
I guess it's a
Denial letter.
pre-existing condition. Yeah, it wasn't in.
It wouldn't normally matter if it was pre-existing. Okay.
All right, so let's hear from the applicants then. Mr. Kelly, want to call them up? Give
Yep.
them the microphones.
Yep, we'll spin the computer around.
All right, hello, folks. Just give us your name and address for the record, okay?
Hello, Yulia Raki, 568 Magnolia Boulevard, Long Beach, New York, 11561.
And sir,
I'm Carlos Araquio, also the same.
Okay.
68.
all right, very good. Mr. Roque, so basically now, you have tenants on the first floor apartment, correct?
Yes.
And you folks are living in that upper floor, which would now become the middle floor. Basically, council said that you were going to need the space because you have increasing family needs, et cetera. And basically, the height is about as good as we can get it, right?
Yes, yes.
A very steep pitched roof. All right, I don't have any other questions. Do any members of the board have any questions for Mr. and Mrs. Araque?
Will you be moving up to the nice big apartment on the 2 upper floors and then rent out the lower level, or what's your plan there?
No, the same
Well,
tenant will stay on the first
Yeah,
floor.
we have the same tenant on the first floor, or I should say the ground level, and then the first floor would be where we live, yes.
So right now you live on the ground floor at the street
No, in the
level?
middle floor, upper floor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I understand.
Yeah, so the same tenant will stay. Is that correct, you said?
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's fine. All right, anyone else have any questions?
Just one, you say it's for a growing family. How many people are in the family? How big's your?
Well,
family?
right now it's my wife and I, and we have 3 kids, 18, 14, and 7. We have 3 bedrooms, which my wife and I utilize 1, and then we have 2 bedrooms for 3 kids. So we basically want to make sure that that we're gonna live comfortably, and you never know that the family may be growing even more.
Fair enough. Thank you. That's all I have, Rob.
So exactly
right.
who's gonna live on the 3rd level?
I'm sorry?
Who exactly is going to move up to the 3rd level?
The middle level and the upper level would be for us. On the floor plan, you would see that on the floor where we live now, one of those rooms will be eliminated, basically to make the stairway to go to the 3rd level.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, that's a reasonable situation. I have kind of the same thing. So I understand exactly how it would be. A tenant level, 1 floor, the owner level, 2 floors. Okay. Anyone else from the board? Anyone from the audience for or against?
Yes, we have Francis McQuaid.
Okay, Francis McQuaid. Name and address, please, and we'll speak to Mr. McQuaid.
You need to unmute yourself.
Mr. McQuaid?
You need to unmute yourself, Mr. McQuaid.
Mr. McQuaid, can you hear us?
Mr. McQuaid, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay,
There
can
you go. There you
can
go.
you hear me now?
Now we can,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, good, thank you. I'm Francis McQuaid at 573 Magnolia Boulevard. Directly across from 568, there were three one-story buildings. There are no three-story floors on the so-called 500 block of Magnolia. I believe that an extension, a third floor addition, would be an aberration. It's a big house. And actually, if the concern is for a growing family, there's always the option of using the ground floor instead of just deriving income from tenants rather than investing the property for his so-called growing family. It would stick out. It's already pretty tightly between his two neighbors. He's built an arbor and all sorts of extensions of on the outdoors that presses right to the limit of the property line directly to the north of him. I thought that was the extent of his building. I can't believe that 3 floors, 573, in the two houses directly south, 1 story. It's going to be dwarfed. I think it would be a very bad decision to grant the variance, and I think that it's not in the community interest. By the way, we used to have a beautiful grassy median. The city had created diagonal parking precisely because of the overflow at the rec center. Any increase in parking, which could include an 18-year-old and the tenants, it's really counter to the city's already tough decision when it removed the grassy median and gave us urban-like diagonal parking. The street has already been altered to accommodate the public interest. For the overflow at the Magnolia Center, I personally and my wife, Mercy McQuaid, we would oppose, and we would hope that this overdevelopment doesn't leach into our neighborhood. I think it's an unnecessary request. And again, hardship. I raised 3 boys in a one-floor house. If we had tenants and we needed space for our children, we'd ask the tenants to leave at the end of their lease. So I would ask the board to oppose this variance.
Muted, Rocco. Rocco, you're muted.
I got it. Anybody else want to speak in favor? Thank you, Mr. McQuaid.
There are no
No.
other hands.
No other hands?
No.
All right. Does anybody want to make a motion on the application? Do people want to think about it? All right, so nobody's making a motion on it. There'll be no vote on this case until next month. The case remains open until voting. If there's any materials to be submitted, please submit them before the next meeting. Thank you. Let's move on to the next case.
Case number 3218, application of Michael and Wendy Goldstein of 83 Joyce Road, Plainview, New York, for a variance in the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-112-2A off-street parking minimum, 9-113.2G off-street parking, 9-113.2H off-street parking size for new off-street parking in the front yard and rear yard at a third-story addition at 616 East Broadway, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 190, Lot 246, on the Nassau County Land Tax Map.
Okay, I see Mr. Kelly's there. Mr. Kelly, do you want to speak first on this case, and then we'll have, if you want your applicants to speak to us?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead. Just give us your name and address.
Yeah, Dennis Kelly, 120 West Park Avenue, Long Beach, New York, 01561. Here on behalf of the applicant, Michael Goldstein, seeking variances for off-street parking at 616 East Broadway. To accommodate the addition of a third story again on what's now a 4-family home in which Mr. Goldstein purchased a number of years ago and has been before the board once before seeking off-street parking. And in fact, he increased the off-street parking which virtually didn't exist prior to his purchase of the home. Now he's seeking to increase the number of units from 4 to 6, with the addition of 2 3-bedroom apartments on the 3rd floor and increase the parking to 9 spots. The building department determined that 12 spots were necessary, so we're asking the variance for the 3 spots that are required and are not provided. We're proposing to put 4 cars in the front yard. We also need a variance as to the size of the parking spaces. What's required by the code is 9 feet by 20 feet. What we're proposing is 8 feet 9 inches by 18 feet. What's being proposed is not out of character with the neighborhood. I've submitted 10 photographs of predominantly that block of the 600 block of East Broadway. The photographs include my client's home, the front of the home at 616, along with the rear of the home. I took a photograph of what's behind the house, just to give you some idea of the space. The extension that extends out from the back of the house into the parking area will be removed in the renovation. What's in there now is, I believe, the boiler room and some utilities. Those are all being laundry, and those will all be brought within the confines of the frame of the house, allowing us to put the additional 5 parking spaces in the rear. That'll also allow for more maneuverability for the cars to easily get in and out of parking spaces in the rear of the house. What's being proposed, it's respectfully submitted, is not detrimental to the neighborhood. Mr. Goldstein has done a good job in increasing the off-street parking available to his unit to almost nothing, well, nothing, to now 9 spaces. And it's relatively not substantial in Residence L. If you look at the other photographs I've submitted to the board, and I submitted them obviously digitally, and I try to give them descriptions. You notice quite a number of homes have, especially on that south side of Broadway, have 4 cars parked in their front yard. That would be specifically, and you'll see the photographs for 630 East Broadway, as well as 634 East Broadway. And then you'll see some other larger homes depicted in the photographs, 610 and 612, as well as I believe it's 654, 56, 58, and 60 is a rather large home that's built just a few houses to the east of 616.
Okay, so my first question is, so we're talking about going from a 4-family home to a 6-unit apartment building? Is that what we're talking about?
6-family home.
Yeah. Well, we're gaining some parking, but now again, we're starting to build up the building. And yes, it's in the area where there are some taller buildings that are certainly behind it. But concern might be from, neighbors that are on that block that still have 4-family homes, that they might not want another structure that's going to rise over it. What's the increased height? And I know you're not going for a height variance, but basically, how much will you be increasing the height of that building?
I'll take a look at the plans for you, Mr. Chairman. Let's see. Bear with me 1 minute. It's going, I believe, from 17 feet to 27 feet. That's the addition of the additional floor, not taking into consideration the roof, which is probably similar to what it is now.
Okay, thank you very much. Members of the board, what are your questions, please? Are there any questions from members of the board?
So right now you're proposing that they drive down the side of the house and that there'd be 5 spots across the back of the property.
Yes, you drive down the west side of the house into the rear yard, We have 3 spots, legal 3 spots back there already, which the tenants use, Commissioner Leonetti. So by taking out that abutment, we're adding 2 others. And taking out, when I say that abutment, I'm talking about the extension on the back, which holds the laundry room and boilers and utilities. That will allow for significant, I was back there today, it will allow for significant maneuverability in terms of parking in the rear.
Well,
How much parking is there now?
3 spots in the rear. And then when I was down there this afternoon, there was a motorcycle and a car parked there.
And the reason for the addition is to just increase income from the rentals?
Yeah, I'll let Mr. Goldstein address that. You know, I try to have, as you know, I try to have my clients here to explain why, right? So I'll let him do the talking, but that's exactly what it is, and there's a reason for it. So let me spin my computer around, if I may, Mr. Chairman, and let Mr. Goldstein testify at this point.
Sure. Okay, Mr. Goldstein, give us your name and address, please.
Michael Goldstein, 83 Joyce Road, Plainview, New York, 11803.
Okay, so Mr. Goldstein, what is the reason that you need to increase from 4 to 6 units in this building?
Well, the reason for the increase is tax and expenses on the building have gone up significantly since I purchased it. And I know with these increasing budgets and shortfalls, expenses are only going to regularly go up and up and up. That's just the reality of the situation. It's important for me to try to make sure that I keep my tenants and keep affordable housing for the community. And I don't want to be in a position that I have to raise the rent in order to cover my mortgage payment. So by adding these units, I feel as though I can withstand the blunt of whatever looming tax burden we're going to have. Because from the earlier meeting, I heard about, millions of dollars of, expenses owed the city. It's got to come from somewhere, which will be from the taxpayer. We've had previous increases of taxes that have, come about. Originally when I did my different improvements to billing, I never anticipated taxes going up to different levels. And I'm trying to create an environment where I could keep the rents very reasonable to the area, as well as create additional affordable housing. When I first purchased the unit, and I've got this photo from courtesy of Google. Can I show it to everybody? I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is what the building looked like. It was, if you want to go on Google and just Google Maps, 616 East Broadway, you had one car parked illegally in between my side and the other side, and that was the adjacent building. You had trees, overgrown bushes and trees, no park in the front. That's what it looked like over here. So you have the current photo. We have 3 spots in the front. Again, I never envisioned, having the need or desire to, have to, increase revenue, offset expenses. Otherwise, I would have, when I did my improvements, I would have had 4 spots in the front or asked for it because there was room for that. But this is unfortunately the situation that we're in right now with, expenses and trying to meet the needs of a budget.
Okay, let me stop you for a second, Mr. Goldstein, just before I forget some of the questions that I might want to ask, and probably the board members want to know too. Number one, what's the size of each apartment? They're 1-bedroom apartments, 2-bedroom apartments?
They're currently 2-bedroom apartments right now. There's one 1-bedroom. There's on the first floor. There's one 2-bedroom on the first floor, and there's 2 2-bedrooms on the second floor.
All right. So you speak to affordable housing. What are the rents that you're getting right now?
So right now I'm currently getting $22.50 for 1 unit, which if you looked on Zillow recently, 1-unit bedrooms are insanely going for $2,900 a month, which is absurd. I have another unit, which is a 2-bedroom, which is going for $25.25, which if you looked on Zillow right now, the least expensive 2-bedroom is going for $2,800 a month. Then the other unit is a 2-bedroom on the above unit, which is was fully renovated from that renovation. That right now is at $2,500 per month, and then the other 2-bedroom is going for $3,000 per month.
Okay, now you mentioned the escalation of the taxes, which I know we've all had. How long is your ownership of the property?
I've owned it for about 2 years. I don't know, ever since COVID, the timeline's really kind of like a blur. I don't know.
I have, Mr. Chairman, I believe I have the deed in here, so just give me a
Well,
second.
2019, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, that would be
From
correct.
Scully, right? From Scully
Yeah.
Realty. All right. So the question becomes then, with rising rates, what would you be anticipating you would have had to raise the rent to? Would you be at market value? In other words, you're saying that your rents are substantially less, $22.50 for a 1-bedroom, and you're saying about 25 and change for a 2-bedroom. Now, you're saying that basically those apartments would, certainly go for at least $400 or $500 a month more. Now, if you were to raise your rent to the current market value, wouldn't that offset the tax increases?
I can't morally do that because I've
You have
got tenants that
leases?
have fixed expenses. I can't do that to them. That's just not the right thing to do. I don't want to do that to them.
But the question is though, you're investing by the application $325,000 to do this project, which I don't know if you're gonna have to finance or not. But the question becomes then, as you have converted this from 4 units to 6 units, it's substantially gonna raise your taxes anyway. So then how will that offset the money that you have to either spend or borrow, and the increase in taxes to your total tax picture? It would seem to me that it's going to take a while to recoup that expense.
And I'm here for the long haul. I bought in Long Beach. I love the area. I come out to Long Beach on a regular basis. So I plan to keep these buildings for a long time. This might be investment where I may not make theoretically money back over a 10 or 15-year period, but it feels good. It feels great to add affordable housing to the community. Make sure that my current tenants, I want their goal to be that they get to stay here until they're ready to buy their own house.
Are they going to be able
outprice anybody out of the market?
Are they going to be able to live there through the construction? How long is it?
Absolutely. They could live there during the construction. The 2 tenants on the second floor, because I've already had a conversation, with them because their lease is up. I did let them know that this is maybe something that may be a possibility. And I've already told them that, if this does come the case, we're going to give them a severe, rent decrease while they're going through, any of the noise and headaches. Because I think the first 2 or 3 months, obviously, with banging and building, it's going to be uncomfortable, for them. So
Has an architect told you that they're going to be able to stay in there during this construction?
It's not affecting their actual unit. So it's going above. So the only part that's going to be, which I already had to mention them, is there's a pantry that like a closet where they keep some, I guess food. That part part of it will get eliminated to build the stairs upward, but it won't affect their actual habitability of their inside of their home.
So you're going to build the 3rd story before you take the old roof off, or how's that going to work?
There's an attic layer above it.
Right.
There is an opportunity for them to.
I think you have some serious construction issues if you're going to try and keep them in there while you do this.
Yeah. The other thing is too, I mean, we're talking about the elimination of a pantry. So looking at the staircases, we're talking about basically not a very wide staircase. And, in the case of like a 3-story walk up. Go ahead.
Each side's got 2 pantries. So it would be the same staircase as the existing staircase is already, which I believe in plans, it's about 5 feet, because each pantry is almost like a closet in that of itself. If you could just. No, there's a staircase going up. Also, I do have one of my economic hardships. I do have a 2-family where I have two units where the tenants have not been paying rent for the past 1.5 years, which has been quite a bit of financial burden to me. I do anticipate that these 2 units would become available. And that would be one of my, opportunity offers to the tenants, that if during the construction, that they, were, want to go into those units, I would offer that as an opportunity for them, or work out some other, arrangement with them, whether it's, providing, other hotel accommodation, or whether it's providing them, one of my other units that I have to maintain the one unit and the other unit as well, in there. One of the other tenants did mention they have family, in the area, that they could also stay at while the renovation is going on. So that, they have been, planning, or, they've also, want to be flexible, because they all want to stay. And obviously I want to keep them, in the unit and work out whatever fair and reasonable number is for them, whether that's not having them pay any rent for, 3 or 6 months. I'm gonna do what's right, morally in myself, that, I don't put a tenant out and have them, whether they just pay the utilities, that's most likely for the first 2 or 3 months, is that's what's gonna end up happening, because I want to do right by the tenants. They've all done right by me. In this particular building, they've all done right by me. They've all paid their rent on time during COVID, where unlike the other unit where unfortunately, some people work and they didn't give me $1 and they've all gotten money at the other particular unit. These tenants have all done the right thing by me. So I wanted the right thing by them. And also I don't want to have it where I know my taxes will go up. It's again, and obviously if this, does get approved, which I hope it does, I know it'll go up even further, but I could still maintain affordable housing because I have the additional income to offset those expenses. Also, borrowing costs are, pretty inexpensive right now too. So I'm looking to take advantage of some of the low interest rate environments and invest in the community that I love. And I love going to with my son. We spend time while he rides the boardwalk, and we go out to Gino's. It's a great, time to build memories with my son over on the weekends in the spring, summer, and fall. So I'm looking forward to being there for the long run.
The building department is saying you need two cars per unit?
Yeah, that, it's I'm glad you brought that up, Commissioner Leonetti, because the off-street parking piece of the code here is a little unclear. I believe that we had initially calculated, Joe Gallinaro initially calculated 10.5s, but that was calculating based on 1.75 parking spaces per unit.
Right.
And the way the code is written, that's literally the least you can have. I think you could also read, and I think the way Joe may have read it is that is the most you can have. And I think the way the building department read it is probably accurate, which is basically two parking spaces per unit, because it's two they're each 2 bedrooms or more.
Okay.
So I was hoping it was 10.5, but it's not. And after scrutinizing that section of the code, I think it probably is 12.
Okay, thanks for your honesty.
I was looking to make the argument for 10.5, Commissioner Leonetti, but it wasn't working. It wasn't going to work.
Okay. I thought it would have been 1.75. That's why I asked the question. Rocco, if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
Oh, me? No.
No.
I'm sorry. Are there any further questions?
Not from me.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if the chairman might be busy with something.
Rocco, you're muted.
Robin, does anybody have their hands up on this one?
No.
Okay, are there any other questions?
No, and there are no hands raised.
Okay, do you guys want to make a motion on this application?
There's only four of us here to vote right now.
Okay, so I think we should wait on any further cases right now then. I don't think we should vote on anything for the rest of the evening.
There are 5 of us.
Is that right?
There are 5.
Oh, sorry.
All right, wait a minute. Okay, that's true. Anybody want to make a motion?
No.
All right, well then we'll keep the case open voting until next month. Mr. Kelly, if there's anything else that anybody wants to submit from the audience or anyone, the case remains open until voting. Let's hear the next case, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Good
Have a good
evening.
night.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Case number 3219, application of Daniel Wallace and Caitlin Piazza of 571 Monroe Boulevard, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-106.17 fence height limitations for a 6-foot high fence in the front yard at 571 Monroe Boulevard, Long Beach, New York, also known as 59 Block 121, Lot 24, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Okay, the applicant is Mr. Wallace. Are you present?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Wallace.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
the two devices in the same room are going to cause an echo.
Yeah, I'm William Wallace, law firm of Pavano and Wallace LLP, 229 7th Street, Garden City, New York, attorney for the applicants.
Okay. So let's hear about the fence now that they're looking to build.
Yeah, they're looking to build a 6-foot fence. First of all, the premises are 571 Monroe Boulevard. Front on Monroe, the corner of East Fulton. So in essence, there are two front yards, the Monroe front yard and the East Fulton front yard. The proposal is to put a 6-foot fence on the East Fulton side, a portion of the East Fulton side. The premises are 60 by 100. So the East Fulton area, and it's the south side of East Fulton. The premises are on the north. I'm getting feedback. Please turn off the other. On the north side, northwest corner of Fulton and Monroe. So the proposal is to put a 4-foot fence.
I'm going to stop you for a second. You got to stop the second either computer or speaker because it's really getting annoying. So I mean, can we just shut everything down? Keep it simple, please.
Yes.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
I think I'm back. I think that's done.
Okay, much better.
So the proposal is to start the fence as a 4-foot open picket fence for the first 30 feet west of the intersection of Monroe and East Fulton, and then gradually put it up to 6 feet for to the end of the property, which is another 70 feet, for the purposes of privacy and security. It's a wide open, I call it a side lot because it's on the side of the house. It's technically, I know, a front yard.
Sir, Ms. Piazza, currently you have about a 4-foot hedge along that side right now, correct?
Yes, the hedge is in very poor condition and the property is riddled with bamboo. So the proposal is to eradicate the bamboo, remove that hedge because it's in poor shape, and put the 4-foot for the first 30 feet and the rest is 6 feet. Now, East Fulton is a one-way street going west to Lyon. So it wouldn't be an impediment, there's a stop sign at the corner. It wouldn't be an impediment for oncoming traffic because there is no oncoming traffic. All the traffic is heading west. And there would be no impediment to somebody at that stop sign to making the left to head west on East Fulton because that fence is going to be 4 feet and an open picket fence, not a closed fence.
Okay, does that answer your question, Commissioner?
I'm not
I'm
hearing the
looking at-
commissioner.
I'm looking at the drawings.
So the fence on Monroe is only going to be a 4-foot picket fence?
A 4-foot open picket fence, yeah, and that's going to go from the intersection 30 feet westerly. So again, there's no obstruction at the intersection over 30 feet from the intersection. And all traffic should be, it's a one-way street heading west, should be going in that direction.
No, I'm saying on Monroe though, that from Monroe to heading south, because you're on the
Oh,
northwest.
that's an open picket.
That's an open 4 feet.
4 foot As of right, it's in full compliance. So the only part that's 6 feet will be approximately 70 feet on East Fulton, which is their backyard in this essence.
Right. I happened to drive by there today to take a look, and I really don't see how what they're proposing would affect anything negatively, especially with the 4 feet on Monroe and the 4 feet for about 30 feet on the west side. I'm sorry, on the north side. And then even if it goes up 6 feet down 30 feet away, it's still not going to impede anything, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's really not a front yard. I mean, I know the building department calls it front yard, but all these corner houses, we have this a lot. I agree with you, Steve. I don't see it being a.
And the feedback has thus far been very positive. It's all oral. We don't have any written notices, but anybody who received the notice and approached.
So why don't we move this along, Mr. Wallace? So, okay, there are no other questions from members of the board. Am I correct? All right, any members of the audience want to speak in favor or against, Robin?
There are no hands raised.
Good, I'll move to grant then.
I'll second that.
Case number 3219, application of Daniel Wallace and Caitlin Piazza of 571 Monroe Boulevard, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-106.17 fence height limitations for a 6-foot high fence in the front yard of 571 Monroe Boulevard, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 121, lot 24 on the Nassau County Land and Tax map. Chairman Morelli has introduced a motion to grant the application. Commissioner Acevedo has seconded the motion. Commissioner Creighton?
Grant.
Commissioner Acevedo?
Grant.
Commissioner Brooks?
Grant.
Commissioner Leonetti?
Grant.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant.
This application has been granted.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, good evening.
Thank you.
Next case, please.
Case number 3220, application of Rooney and Virel Harvey of 115 East 72nd Street, New York, New York, for a variance in the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.2C front yard, 9-113.2G off-street parking for a new front yard deck and new off-street parking in the front yard at 344 East Beach Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 143, lot 258 on the Nassau County Land and Tax map.
Are the applicants present?
James Lynch for the applicants. Mr.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Lynch. Address, please.
16 May Walk, Long Beach, New York. James Lynch, contractor for the homeowners.
All right. So, Mr. Lynch, why don't you describe for us the project and why we're in need of relief for 8 feet?
Okay, we're seeking relief on two parts of the zoning code. The first one is for a second floor balcony. I'll call it a balcony. It's what we're proposing is about 15'6" by 8 foot out. To speak to that one first, this is a legal 2-family house, and what the front portion of the house. These houses are actually turned sideways. They face each other. There's a couple of houses, properties like that are peppered in Long Beach. So the front part that we're talking about would be the tenants area. So we're looking to create a balcony for them. If the pictures I submitted show 3 houses to the east, which project 7 feet past our building line. So we don't believe this is a big ask. What we're trying to do is just realize that 7 feet out is really not a lot to work with if you're talking about putting any kind of a dining table or chairs out there. So we feel that the 8 foot would really work best for us. And since we were coming for the second part, we thought we'd propose this and see if we can and get it granted. That's it. There's no staircase to this. That's why I'm calling it a balcony. It'll be doors out from the tenant's living area. The second part is if you look at the pictures that I submitted, you'll see I guess what we're going to call the front yard. There's a car parked on a slab, which is mine, just for scale. And then the other area that's to the left of that is where we're seeking to put a curb cut and another slab, a matching, not so much a slab, but we're going to do pavers and so forth on that part. And if you look at the picture presented of the property, you'll see that there's a fire hydrant that runs about 15 feet left of that or west of that parking of the original curb cut. So what we're looking to do is that space cannot be used for anybody. There's no, just given the restrictions of distance with the fire hydrant and the curb cut that's there. So we believe this is kind of like, excuse my dog. This is kind of like a good way to get a car. It's creating more parking and taking a car off the street, which would otherwise not have parking available. So that would be our second ask. And as I said, since it can't be used for anything, that space in front can't be used for anything, we believe that this is a good way to create more parking and once again, take cars off the street.
Okay, Mr. Lynch, what would be the dimension of that parking spot? Would it be a legal parking spot size-wise, other than the location needs the variance?
Yes, we have, it's 25 feet, and we could go as far as 12 feet wide, and I think it's 8 foot is actually the
Right, it's 8 by 20. Yeah, 8 by 20.
right. So we have 25 by 15 if we wanted.
Okay, very good. And you're seeking one spot, correct? Not two?
One is existing already, and the
Okay.
second one is the second spot is the ask.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? I don't have any questions right now.
These prints didn't print very well. I can't really see where the car is going, but it's going to be perpendicular to the street and won't take any spaces off the street, is what you said, right?
That's correct, because the existing apron,
right,
for the existing drive,
Mhm.
And the fire hydrant is probably about 15 feet.
Okay.
We all know that you have to have clearance on either side of the fire hydrant, so it doesn't allow for anybody to park there.
Okay.
Any other
And
questions?
if you're looking at the pictures as well, we all know that there's a tree in the picture. We're going to take that tree out and we're going to replant it on the other side of the fire hydrant, because we all know we're too scarce for trees here in Long Beach.
Robin, were these pictures part of the package or they're just online?
They were sent today.
So they're online. Okay.
My apologies for getting them in late.
Anyone else?
I was hoping you would catch that.
Anyone else? Robin, is there anyone who wants to speak for or against?
There are no hands raised.
All right. Anyone want to make a motion on this case?
I'll make a motion to grant.
All right, I'll second it.
Who made the motion?
I did.
Commissioner Lulianetti made the motion. I'm seconding it.
Case number 3220, application of Roni and VRL Harvey of 115 East 72nd Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.2C front yard, 9-113.2G off-street parking for new front yard deck and new off-street parking in the front yard at 344 East Beach Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 143, lot 258 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Commissioner Leonetti has introduced a motion to grant the application. Chairman Morelli has seconded the motion. Commissioner Creighton?
Grant.
Commissioner Acevedo?
Grant.
Commissioner Brooks?
Grant.
Commissioner Leonetti?
Grant.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant.
This application has been granted.
Thank you to the board for your consideration.
You're welcome. Have a good evening, Mr. Lynch.
You too.
Next case, please.
Case number 3221, application of Christopher Montilli of 66 Curly Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance on the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.A use, 9-105.H density, to convert a one-family doctor's office into a two-family house at 270 Edwards Boulevard, also known as 10 East Walnut Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 98, lot 1, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Okay, applicant present?
Yes, the applicant and their attorney, hold on one second. Mr. Montilli and Mr. Apple, you need to unmute yourselves.
I'm here, Chris Montilli.
You hear me, Robin?
Can hear you now. Yeah.
Great. Good evening,
Okay.
Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Apple, just address, please, that's all.
30 West Park Avenue, Suite 202, Long Beach.
Okay. So this looks like this was a podiatrist's office at one time, am I correct?
It still is, I believe. We are the contract vendees to purchase the property from Dr. Katz, who's owned it since, I believe, 1991.
Okay.
When he property it is now.
Okay, so basically, first question is, Mr. Apple, does Dr. Katz live there, or it's rented out as a property, as a, let's say, a doctor's office plus rental?
I don't believe he lives there.
Okay. Would your client know or no? Who's purchasing it? Mr. Montilli, would he know that?
Chris, do you know that?
I do know that. I believe he has a tenant in there. The time I
No, Mr. Montilli, just give me your address, please, for the record, your residential address.
66 Curly Street, Long Beach.
Okay, so the question I asked Mr. Apple was, do you have a knowledge of, basically Dr. Katz is there, but whoever lives in the house now above, in the apartment above, is that Dr. Katz, or is it a tenant that he has?
My knowledge is it's a tenant.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Apple, I guess we'll get back to you then. So basically now at this point, Dr. Katz is closing his practice, and you want to convert that space to another rentable apartment. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So now at the present time, is there any kind of parking available at the premises, on the driveway, on the apron? Where do the people park?
I believe there's one spot in the driveway. Currently, the premise has a waiver of off-street parking for 8 spots. Converting this to the residential use will eliminate that altogether. And if you look at the plot plan on the east side of the property, there is enough for 2 more spots with 18-foot curb cut. There's 20 by 18 on the plot plan on the east side of the property, if I didn't say that. So we would actually be providing additional parking, as well as getting rid of the variance for the waiver of off-street parking for 8 spots, which it currently has due to its mixed use.
Okay. And now I just want to go back to that for a second. On that issue of the curb cut, you said you have to create a curb cut. Is that what you said?
There's a curb cut there. We would probably have to expand it if we wanted to put the 2 additional parking spots on the east side, which is something we would be open to, which again alleviates even more parking.
So now, if you let's say had to extend the curb cut, how many feet would you have to extend it by, do you think?
I don't have the curb cut on this plot plan.
Okay.
But the 18 feet in front of the east side of the yard would be sufficient to get the 2 cars up into the off-street spots.
Okay, so we'd be going like 18 feet, and how many more cars would we get off the street?
2 more cars off, in addition to getting rid of the off-street parking variance that we have now currently.
Which doesn't really mean anything because it's not.
No.
Yeah, might as well leave it as it is. All right. I mean, I am always in favor of decreasing usage and decreasing density, and I would certainly feel that a residential usage would place less demand than a commercial usage on the surrounding area, and it is a busy area anyway. I don't have any further questions. Any members of the board have any questions?
Yeah, Kenny, I just want to confirm, right now there's 2 uses. There's the lower unit is a doctor's office and the upper unit is a separate residential unit?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I got.
Anybody else? Okay, Robin, any comments from anybody in the audience?
No hands raised.
All right, I'd move to grant.
I'll second.
Case number 3221, application of Christopher Montilli of the 66 Curly Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance on the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.8 use, 9-105H density, to convert a 1-family doctor's office into a 2-family house at 270 Edwards Boulevard, also known as 10 East Walnut Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 98, Lot 1 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Chairman Morelli has introduced a motion to grant the application. Commissioner Creighton has seconded the motion. Commissioner Creighton,
Grant.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Grant,
Commissioner Brooks,
Wanda, you're.
Grant,
Wanda, what did you say?
Grant,
And Chairman Morelli.
Grant.
This application has
I would say grant too, Robin, if you asked me.
been. Thank you. Sorry, Mike. I guess you said grant.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Have a good evening. Thank you. Welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye now. All right. Next case.
Case number 3222, application of Stephanie Durrell of 72 Pennsylvania Avenue, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.5D side yard, 9-113.2G off-street parking, for a new front yard deck and off-street parking at 72 Pennsylvania Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 242, Lot 18, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. We have, hold on. We have the applicant and the architect. So Mr. L and Mark Eiselman, you just need to
Okay,
unmute.
Mr. Geiselman, yeah, how are you?
Good,
Name
how
and
are you?
address, please, and we'll get started.
Mark Eiselman, 364 West Fulton Street, Long Beach.
Okay, how are you? All right, so now we're basically talking about a new front deck and an off-street parking spot. Tell us about the deck first.
Well, the deck is in compliance with the required setbacks and everything. It's actually approved in a different configuration, but it meets the required 3-foot setback. It only comes out 7 feet. There is another application on this property that the permit's being processed right now, should be approved any moment, that involves a second floor addition and also a roof deck that extends toward the back of the house, or the additions toward the back of the house. So what we're looking to do here is, in order to provide an off-street parking space for the house, the structure for that front deck has to extend to the side yard to provide enough width. Without doing that, the width that's allowed there, we're actually eliminating a bedroom on that first floor to provide that off-street parking, is only about 7 feet, which is obviously too tight to pull a car into. So we have to outboard the structure, and that's only going to be the structure that's outboarding. So all that we're extending to the side yard is 2 columns and 2 beams. There will be no deck surface on it, no railings extending over there, nothing like that. So it'll just be beams and those posts to allow us the width for that parking, for that one off-street parking space. The other variance we're looking for is the off-street parking space does project into the front yard, but it is still contained under the deck for the most part. I mean, the 20 feet extends maybe 7 inches beyond the face of the deck. So, and we all know there aren't too many cars out there 20 feet long. So we're looking for that waiver to get that off-street parking space there. And that's pretty much it. I mean, we're not really encroaching on anything. There's no habitable or usable deck space that's encroaching into that side yard. It's just that the structure that we need to outboard so we can provide the width for that parking.
Okay, so you said that you'd be eliminating what, a bedroom?
Yes, and then
Okay.
we're actually adding a bedroom on the second floor.
I see. Okay, and the second floor addition is being done without variance, am I correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so you said, Mr. Geiselman, that basically you have a separate set of applications going for the separate construction of the second floor and a protruding back deck, and that
no, it's actually for the second floor addition of the bedroom. The small sitting area is toward the back of the house. The remainder of the front of the house is going to be a rooftop deck, which extends that extra 7 feet out the front.
And that doesn't require a variance.
Correct.
Okay, now I'm just curious as to why you didn't just wrap this all into one application, or is this just because the other items did not need variances and you wanted to get started on that?
That's exactly the case.
Okay, very good. All right, I don't have any other questions. Any members of the board?
You have no objection to us putting a condition that you don't build across to those columns, right?
I'm sure the client is listening in, I think, but I'm sure that they wouldn't have an objection to that.
Okay.
Any other members? Anyone for or against in the audience, Robert?
No hands are raised.
All right, would anyone like to make a motion with conditions?
I'll make a motion to grant with the condition that they don't extend the deck in the direction of the moved columns.
All right, I would second that motion with conditions.
Okay, hold on one second. Case number 3222, application of Stephanie Durrell of 72 Pennsylvania Avenue, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.5D side yard, 9-113.2D off-street parking for new front deck and off-street parking at 72 Pennsylvania Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 242, lot 18 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Commissioner Creighton has introduced a motion to grant with conditions. Chairman Morelli has seconded the motion. Commissioner Creighton,
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner Brooks,
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner Leonetti,
Grant with conditions, thank you.
Chairman Morelli.
Grant with conditions.
The application has been granted with the conditions stated on the record.
All right, next case, please.
Case number 3223, application of 801 West Beach Street LLC of 150 White Plains Road, Terrytown, New York, and Daniel Monteforty, Long Beach Sandwich Shop of 104 Buffalo Avenue, East Atlantic Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.16D side yard for a 6x8 walk-in refrigerator on the side of the building at 801 West Beach Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 243, lot 51 on the Nassau County Land Tax Map.
All right, yes, good evening. The applicant is present, Mr. Monteforty?
Yes, I'm present.
All right, good evening. All right, so Mr. Monteforty, so basically I'm looking at the denial letter. And so what we're talking about is that the side yard needs to be 7 feet in width. And basically you're going to be putting in a refrigerator or walk-in box that's going to cut that back to about 4 feet or so, 4 to 4 feet, is that correct?
Correct. Which is no, okay.
Yeah, all right. So now, why don't you just describe to me the nature of the business? I'm sure most of us know it, but just for the record, describe the nature of your business and why you need to add the box into that area.
Sure. Thank you for your time tonight. So we've had Long Beach Sandwich Company since 2017, August of 2017. And we've done a lot to, in my opinion, to beautify that corner. If any of you are familiar with the business looked like before that, it was a little bit of a mess. So from the inside, the outside, we take great pride in the business that we have, and it's grown. So it shows through what we've put into the business that we've gotten to a point where my interior refrigeration is just not sufficient, and there's nowhere else inside that I can put a refrigerator large enough to handle the business that we're doing now. So what we plan to do is we'd like to put this walk-in box just I guess south of our back door, and then we've already had approval for a PVC fence, a white PVC fence to enclose the walk-in box. Our garbages are back there, our grease bins, and just continue to beautify the corner that's, essentially the entryway to the west end.
Okay, so I remember that when it was, other businesses, and certainly not as improved as you have it now. Are you the owner of the property, or is that?
I'm not the owner of the property. I wish I was. You won't sell it to me.
Yeah, was that property, was that owned by an Amato years ago, or is that the different property now next to it?
It's owned by Friedman Management Group now. I don't know.
Okay. And do you need their permission as per your lease to do any kind of outside additions?
I'm sorry, I don't mean to speak over you. I have his permission. The city of Long Beach asked me for his permission. He gave it to me. So I have it in written. It should be in your packets. There's written permission from the landlord.
All right, that's fine. I don't have any other questions at the present time. Do any members of the board have any questions? No. Anyone from the audience?
I have a quick question, please.
Go ahead.
So the box is going to be, I'm looking at the pictures along the side where you have the garbage bins and I guess your ice machine there,
Yes.
or the ice. So you're gonna have a 6 foot by 8 foot box there?
So right, so from, if you see my back door, there's from the back door to the window is a little over 8 feet. I think it's 9.5, 10 feet to the window. So the box would fit there against it. I would move the after I put the fence up, then I'd be able to move the garbages, off the wall, and the grease bin would be off the wall, hidden behind the fence.
So how does it play into your door as far as?
The door would not be wouldn't be fenced in. The back, there would be a gate into the fence. I wouldn't bring the fence all the way to the alleyway. It would narrow down the entrance to the alleyway for the apartments upstairs. There's the homeowner, Joanne Diamond, is right north of us, the blue house just north of us. And I spoke to her, what I was willing to do for her to again, just try and keep it nice for her, was to extend. There's an existing fence behind the buildings, and I would look to extend that fence out about 3 feet. It wouldn't be past her driveway or impeding the sidewalk at all, but it would just kind of block her from the back of my restaurant.
Is there a condenser or a compressor on the roof of this?
Yes.
And will that be making noise?
Yes, but no more noise than the fans that exist on the roof already. I mean, we have the exhaust fans up top. There's air conditioning units outside on the front and the back, and there's no it wouldn't be making any more noise than what exists already.
So that door that we see open, the black door, that will remain outside of this structure?
That would remain outside of the fence, yes.
Okay, and you would enter on one of the short ends, one of the 6 foot ends?
The gate would be on the back side, like right next to the black door.
Where's the door? Where's the door to the freezer?
That would be behind the fence. Everything would be enclosed behind my fence, and the door would be facing north.
So will the ice refrigerator remain? The ice freezer remain?
No, we'd eliminate that. We were looking to get an ice machine put into the basement of the restaurant.
How far out do you think the ice freezer right now goes from the wall?
4 feet.
Really?
Yeah, it's 3 or 4 feet.
Okay.
So the side of the building is, if we were to put the fence where it was proposed and approved, the walk-in box would be on the inside of that. We'd already applied to put the PVC fence, and that was approved. What wasn't approved was the walk-in box.
So the fence was approved already?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
And
everything would be contained inside of the PVC fence. The idea would be to,
So the fence was approved by the building department. As far as the structure itself, I guess it would be a little more than 6 feet and a little more than 8 feet.
I think the reason that they looked at it as a permanent structure as opposed to a fence, I guess the fencing was okay for the building department to approve, but they needed to deny the walk-in box and allow the zoning board to approve.
I'm guessing the
more of a
property
structure, I guess.
I'm guessing the property line is probably where that joint in the concrete is. So
That's what I was told.
yeah, so you're going to be 4 feet in from that.
I'll be inside the property line, yes.
Yeah, about 4 feet according to the denial letter.
Okay.
Not a thing of beauty, but I don't think it's too bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was looking at, the houses next door, and you have that walkway and then the box there, but I mean, you have the fence approved already.
Yeah, if he's allowed to do the fence,
right. So I mean, whatever you put inside.
That was the whole point, is that, to hide what, if you go by now, I mean, that's where we keep our garbage pails. We have 3 garbage pails. We go through great lengths to keep that area clean. I power wash it multiple times a year. All the garbage and the grease bins are up against the side of the building. But, the wind blows incredibly strong down New York Avenue, and it takes boxes, wherever they are. We're running down the street to grab them. So we're just trying to contain our business to our business.
And you have no room for the walk-in box in the basement?
No, the height in the basement is, it's got like 5'3" maybe. So we wouldn't be able to put a walk-in box. It would be a crawl-in box.
Anybody else? Anyone want to speak in favor or against?
James Lynch, unmute yourself.
Yes, can you hear me?
Now we can.
Okay. James Lynch, 300 National Boulevard, Chamber of Commerce, on behalf, speaking on behalf of the board, we would ask that the zoning approve this. On a personal opinion, I live right by there, and I understand what Dan and Frank are trying to do to tighten that area up and get everything enclosed. So it's, while looking at a fence may not be appealing to the eye, it'll contain everything that they need and just help the business along. If they're growing, I think at this point in time, we need to support these businesses in any way we can. So we would ask that you approve it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
There are no other hands raised.
Okay, does anybody want to make a motion on the application?
I'll make a motion to grant.
I'll second.
Second,
Mm-hmm.
Are you eating one of their sandwiches?
Yeah, what's for dinner?
Yeah.
Rocco? What's for dinner?
Yeah, whatever you want.
oh, okay, so that was Rocco, okay. Case
Mute yourself.
Application of 801 West Beach Street LLC of 150 White Plains Road, Terrytown, New York, and Daniel Monteforty, Long Beach Sandwich Shop of 104 Buffalo Avenue, East Atlantic Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.16D side yard for a 6-foot by 8-foot walk-in refrigerator on the side of the building at 801 West Beach Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 243, lot 51 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Commissioner Leonetti has introduced motion to grant the application. Chairman Morelli has seconded the motion. Commissioner Creighton,
And this time more than ever, we have to help these businesses survive. I vote to grant.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Grant.
Commissioner Brooks,
Grant.
Commissioner Leonetti,
Grant.
Chairman Morelli.
Grant.
This application has been granted.
Thank you very much for your time. On behalf of my brother and myself, I'd like to thank you very much. Have a great night.
You're welcome. Good night.
Thank you.
Next case, please.
Case number 3224, application of Heather Licata of 67 Kirkwood Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-108.8B height, 9-105.8C front yard, 9-105.8D side yard, 13-82D pool location for proposed 1 and 3rd story additions and interior renovations at 67 Kirkwood Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as section 59, block 184, lot 37 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Okay, applicant present.
And
There we go, unmuted. Yes, I am. Mark Anthony Monastery, architect, located at 1563 Belmore Avenue in Belmore.
Mark, is there anybody else with you
That I know of, no.
for this one and the next 2 cases? It's okay.
That I know of, no, not yet.
Okay.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Monticelli.
evening.
Okay, so basically, first thing I want to ask you is at 67 Kirkwood, what is the lot size?
It's a relatively small lot. It's only 40 by 57. 40 wide, 57 deep.
Right. Okay, so now, what I wanted to know, is there anything going on the side yard that's going to change? I just want to make sure that their existing side yards are 4 feet and nothing's encroaching on them further, right?
That is correct. The existing side yards as they exist today is 4 feet on either side. And, we're going straight up from the walls there. So there would be no additional encroachments.
So now you're going up to 28 and a half feet. Now, is that any kind of accommodation for FEMA, or are you keeping the first floor as is? So it's becoming a flood floor?
So what's actually happening, so the house does meet FEMA compliancy. This is an oddity of a split house, a left to right split. So I'm facing the house from the street, the right-hand side. Theoretically, the living space is the first floor. There's a crawl space directly below that. On the left-hand side of the house, there's a garage, which splits the house. So the living space, you go up a half a flight to where the bedrooms are. what we're proposing is a new floor above that, which would be the new master suite getaway area for my clients. But there is an existing cathedral in the main space, which goes to just over 10 feet. I think 10'2", 10'3". They want to maintain that, which actually works well because that would allow, when we go to that next floor, to level that floor against the two splits. So the floor itself would actually be the ceiling height of the split side, which is where the bedrooms are, if that makes sense.
Okay. And now in the front, you're talking about just building out a deck. Is that correct? And it's going to take it to the 1 foot with the footings 3 feet from the property line. Is that all you're doing there?
That is correct.
And the
That's
deck is
the entry area.
the deck is running the width of the house.
No, it's just shy. It's so the right-hand side of the house, what I'm going to call the living space, the lower level of it, it takes up that area, the little niche that sets back. And then there's a set of stairs that runs perpendicular to the front of the house, which is where it's coming out to. It's attached to the house, but running perpendicular to the house.
Okay, thanks. So let's get back over to the addition, the third floor.
Sure.
And my question becomes now, that's what we're talking about, the cathedral ceiling part of it that you want to keep, or your client wants to keep.
Yep. So that existing floor, when I say the floor, the main floor, theoretically is their first floor. In this part, there's a crawl space below it. There, it's a very artistic family. The wife is an interior designer. The husband is a contractor, and they have a good keen eye of artistic flair. They have a cathedral in that space now, as you know, that the house has a sloped, slanted roof, single plane. They want to keep that height. So they want to then go across that again, which works out really well because it's the height of what the theoretic second floor is, and they want to carry that across, which makes for the third floor.
Okay, so basically what we're talking about here is not really like a third floor of living space, right? I mean, because half of it is cathedral ceiling and the other half is, almost like you'd look at it as a mezzanine, right? Because you're looking down into the rest of that first floor below it, right?
That is true, yes.
So it's kind of like a floor and a half, because basically one part of it is mezzanine, the other part is cathedral ceiling. I mean, I'm looking at my own house and I'm looking at the same exact thing right now. So I'm thinking that's what it is, right?
Put well, yes.
Okay. All right. So I understand what they're trying to do. Any members of the board have any questions?
No, I like the plan. Looks pretty
Yeah,
good. And the third floor addition is not the full footprint of the house. The deck, I think, is not on columns, right? The deck is.
That's correct.
Yeah, it's only like 4 or 5 feet above grade.
That's correct. And then they did a nice planter in front of it, so it really softens the approach as it is at the street.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So at this point, are there any other questions from the board members? Yes, no. Okay. Robin, anyone from the audience?
There are no hands raised.
All right, I'm going to move to grant.
I'll second.
Case number 3224, application of Heather Licata of 67 Kirkwood Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-108.8B height, 9-105.8C front yard, 9-105.8D side yard, 13-82D pool location for proposed first and third story additions and interior renovations at 67 Kirkwood Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 184, Lot 37, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Chairman Morelli has introduced a motion to grant the application. Commissioner Leonetti has seconded the motion. Commissioner Creighton?
Sorry, I was on mute. This is a tough one because it's a big height variance, but I'm going to grant.
Commissioner Acevedo?
Grant.
Commissioner Brooks?
Wanda, you're muted.
Grant,
Commissioner Leonetti?
Grant.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant.
This application has been granted.
Okay.
Thank you all.
So let's go on with the next cases, and even though they're neighboring homes, we are hearing them individually, correct? Because they're seeking different things.
Yeah.
All right.
Before I call it in, Mark, is there anybody that's going to speak for these? Or are you doing both of these? Are your clients on, or I don't see any?
I'm going to do both of these. I'm going to do
Okay.
both. Thank you.
Okay. Case number 3225, application of Adamo Siofi of 3499 East Bay Court, Merrick, New York, for a variance from the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.2B height, 9-105.2D side yard, to construct a new one-family house at 91 East Fulton Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 92, Lot 148, on the Nassau County Land Tax Map.
All right, Mr. Monasteri, good evening. Give us your name and address, please, just for this case.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, members of the board. Once again, my name is Mark Anthony Monastery. I'm an architect, and my office is located at 1563 Belmore Avenue in Belmore, and I'm appearing on behalf of my client, Adelmo Chiaffi, who is the owner of 91 East Fulton Street.
All right, very good. I just want to ask you a question, since these are going to be two cases in a row on adjoining properties on Fulton. Was this like the subject of a subdivision that was granted recently or in the past, or?
No, there's two dilapidated houses on the two properties. This here property is backed up to the community center. It's adjacent to the property that's adjacent to the community center. This particular property is abandoned. Honestly, it's a real mess, in my opinion. We originally tried to save the house in using what was there, but it's been left. Unfortunately, it's too old and not able to convert this house back. Although, in what we've done, we've actually lessened the existing non-conforming conditions of it as far as side yard goes, because this house used to encroach much further into the side yards.
All right, so basically on this particular home, let's just kind of summarize. The house is too far gone to repair. Was the house, damaged and sandy and never repaired, or did they repair it and just kind of, still live in it?
It was a partial start to repair, but and again, I Mr. Chairman, I can't tell exactly, but I can tell that there was some repairs done, but nothing that would bring it back. I think the mold, the mildew, and of course, money probably is what overtook the project itself.
All right. So basically, on the height, I mean, it doesn't look like you're asking for an unreasonable increase. It's only
1 foot, not 3/4.
3/4. And on the right side or on the west side, that you're looking for the 4.9 leaving. That's the side that should be the 8 foot, correct?
So actually, it is 8 1/4 feet to the house. What we're requesting is for the steps themselves, which narrows it down to 4 foot 9 inches.
So that changes the scope of it dramatically, because steps we can't help.
Right.
We need steps. And the thing is, at this point, just for argument's sake, what drew the 1.9, or let's say the 1.9 inches in excess of the
So I mean, it's ultimately roof pitch. Overall, there's nothing crazy they're asking here. It's a FEMA compliant house. So there's nothing crazy here. It's just we were looking for an 8 pitch on the roof. So this is ultimately going to be a flip house. So I don't want you to think anything more or less of it. And as an architect, the pitch does have a lot to do with the aesthetics of the house.
Okay, I understand. What is the pitch at right now?
8 It's an 8 pitch.
What is it? I'm sorry.
It's an 8 pitch, and I got to be honest,
if you would change it to, let's say, a 6, and maybe, got an extra, 10 inches of reduction, would that change the look of the house dramatically?
So from an 8 to a 6, it does. From an 8 to a 7 or 7.5, I mean, it ultimately, the truth being told, Mr. Chair, if that's what makes the board happy, we could lower it slightly to bring it. I mean, 1'9" is a little bit. I'd probably have to bring it somewhere 7 or 6.5. Aesthetically, it's not that.
Like a foot, let's just say, take off 9 inches and reduce the 8 to like a 6 or 7. Would that give you that look?
We could do that. We could do
All
that.
right.
Sure,
All
we
right.
could.
All right. Any members of the board have any questions?
It looks to me like it's 5 bedrooms total.
Yes, ma'am. 2 down, 3 up. That's correct.
Is this the same owner as the next
Yes, it is.
application? And it's
Yes, it is.
basically the same design?
The properties are as much as they're adjacent to one another, as you'll see in the next case. I don't want to say radically different, but they're subtly different. But yes, the basic design is the same. Yes.
The other reason, or the real reason the house is above the zoning is you chose to put parking under the house, which meant raising the house about 8 feet above grade. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's more than just FEMA compliant. So you are correct. As we know, in Long Beach, parking comes at a.
And what else? I see you have windows in the lower level. What's the purpose of those?
Well, at the end of the day, so it's not a dark, dingy shed, so that there is light. It's a relatively large space. Obviously, there's going to be some additional storage down there.
Any other members? Anybody want to speak in favor or against?
If I could just ask one question, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Ministeri, do the owners of this home have any intention of converting this to a 2-family house?
They do not. Once they finish this house, their intention is to sell it.
And is that the same with the, I'm going to ask you again on the next one.
It is, yes.
Okay. And just a question as an aside, and I believe probably Council Lupo might have been thinking about this too. The windows, I know that the intent and the good intention is to provide, basically not look like just, an industrial wall on the FEMA level, let's call it. But, is there any way that the construction would not lend itself to the conversion of an apartment down there, since we already got windows? People trying to rent it. So do you need as many windows as you have, or can that be reduced a little bit?
So, Mr. Chair, if I can be direct and honest, we were one of the relatively large architects. I still work with the GOZA program today. Worked with the Build It Back as well as New York Rising. I did a little over 800 of these homes. So I feel that I'm a little bit of an expert as far as these house raises go. And that's self-proclaimed, by the way. A lot of these spaces and the scale of the house realistically is not going to all be parking. I mean, at the end of the day, if you have a yard or something like that, it becomes storage. It becomes almost like the cabana without the pool house. Excuse me, without the pool house without the pool. So, and again, I'm just trying to be direct and honest with the board because I have a tremendous amount of respect for every board. And that's kind of how this is set up. The properties are not over, we're not talking about 1 acre properties here. They're relatively small. And any of the outdoor space, especially in Long Beach, as anybody knows, is really a valuable commodity. This becomes that indoor outdoor space for the storage of the rear yard things and all that. Because to say that that's going to be all garage, I mean, that's a parking garage in Manhattan, overall.
Okay. No, I got you. All right. So that satisfies my question with that. If there's no other questions from the board members, Robin, is there anybody who wants to speak from the audience?
No, there are no hands raised.
All right. My opinion is I'd like to see if the height could be reduced. Then I'd be willing to make a motion to grant it with a pitch reduction so that we could get down to 26 feet. I don't know if anyone seconded or modify my motion, or help me modify it, but I would make a motion for that.
If I can, Mr. Chair, just real quick, you're talking about just reducing it 9.5 inches, am I correct?
Correct. So however you had to get to that pitch, if, you know, a 7 would do it, or if a 6, you know, would do it, then that we're talking. And without any reduction of the windows. I understand, I get it. Because certainly if someone were gonna be unscrupulous and convert it into a 2-family, I'm sure someone would complain to the building department. And, again, if somebody's gonna have to come to the board to get a variance for a 2-family, we're not gonna be so easy to grant it. So
I like that.
Here's the deal. This is how I feel. I feel that I would make a motion to grant it, if we could reduce it to, a 1 foot reduction, let's say, above the code. Does anybody want to make does anybody want to second that motion? And we can go through that if you want to vote on it tonight. If not, then, we'll hold the vote.
Yeah, why don't we see if he could submit like revised plans to that effect?
Okay. All right.
I could turn that out of my office relatively quickly, gentlemen.
All right. So then we'll hold off on that. If you want to get us the revised plan, we'll just vote on that.
Well,
All right.
can't we vote on it with that condition?
I
So we
thought
get
that we
this,
could.
so we get this started. I mean,
I thought we could.
The building department would want to see those revised plans.
So if I can at all, and please, I'm truly not being pushy, but if anybody knows, the cost of materials is going through the roof and it continues to climb by the day. So whatever I can do for my client to keep the cost of materials down, which means getting it happen faster versus it going on till next week, till next month, my office will do whatever it takes.
I'm thinking that we
Tonight or next month, that's all.
Those are the only 2 choices we actually have. We can't approve with the condition that the height of the house comes down to 26 feet.
I mean, we've done that before. I mean,
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's the problem now.
Yeah, there's been times when we voted on it as per amended plans, when we got amended plans, because we weren't able to vote on it that night because it was going to be a radical change. It doesn't sound like this is such a radical change where I don't know that we necessarily need amended plans. What we're asking for is basically a reduction of the height pitch. We're not asking for any other changes. I mean, I don't see why we can't vote on it.
So you're asking for the pitch to be reduced so that it obtains a 26 feet height at the maximum?
Correct.
However he wants to reduce the height is fine.
Right. I mean, generally speaking, when we ask for a revised set of plans, it's because there are 2 or 3 items minimally that we want to have changed, columns or a deck reduction, maybe a height reduction. But this is just a straight out reduction of the height. I mean, we're talking about, 9 inches. And basically, we've done many cases where we have reduced root pitch, from 8 to 12, 8 on 12 to 6 on 12. And generally it's always been about 10 inches per reduction of the run. So, if we're really just asking for a certain height, I don't really care how he gets to it. But the point is that, we've done something to reduce the impact to the height, which is better for the community.
And Mr. Montessori, just so you understand where we're coming from, on new builds, we're looking to really stay to code. So although it may not seem significant when you're thinking about 9 inches or a foot and 9 inches, it is substantial to us because of that. I mean, you're building a new house.
Yeah, if it was
I totally understand. I respect what the board does. Absolutely, 110%. So I have no problem with the reduction. And so I've been, I've been in this game for 35 years. What I ask is, and what typically happens is that you approve it based on the 26-foot height. The building department ultimately can't approve it which is my ultimate goal for their approval, unless I meet that goal. So if you
Right.
approve it 26 feet, then I have to submit plans that they would be able to approve.
Right. So, to all commissioners, I'm willing to move forward with granting it with amended plans, bringing the height to 20, no more than 26 feet.
It'd be grant with conditions because we don't have a revised plans yet.
Correct.
We don't have amended plans in front of us. We only vote on as per amended plans when we required or requested or asked if several changes could be made so that
Okay.
we could peruse the plans. But there's really nothing here to peruse because basically there is one condition. We're asking for a 9-inch reduction, which, is not anything so substantial, but it's certainly, symbolic at the very least. And at this point, we're not asking for any other changes. So I don't see why we just can't specify, to vote on as per the condition of the height no higher than 26 feet.
I agree.
Is that the condition? Are you making the motion, Rocco, with that condition?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to grant with the height, with the condition that the height be no higher than 26 feet even.
I second that.
Is that you, Esteban?
Yes.
Case number 3. Application of Adelmo Chiaffi of 3499 East Bay Court, Merrick, New York, for a variance in the following section for the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.2B height, 9-105.2D side yard, to construct a new one-family house at 91 East Fulton Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 92, Lot 148, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Chairman Morelli has introduced a motion to grant with conditions. Commissioner Acevedo has seconded the motion. Commissioner Clayton?
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner Acevedo?
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner Brooks?
I'll take her outside in a minute.
Grant with commission. I mean, grant with conditions, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Leonetti?
And with conditions.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant with condition.
This application has been granted with the conditions stated on the record.
Thank you all.
Case number 3226, application of Adelmo Cioffi of 3499 East Bay Court, Merrick, New York, for a variance in the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.2B height, 9-105.2D side yard, 9-105.2E rear yard, 9-105.2I minimum lot size, to construct a new one-family house at 93 East Fulton Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 92, Lot 149, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Monasteri. Again, just give us your address. I know we know it, but just give it to us for the record, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Once again, Mark Anthony Monastery, architect. My office is located at 1563 Belmore Avenue in Belmore, and I am appearing on behalf of my client, Adelmo Chiaffi, who is the owner of 93 East Fulton Street.
All right, so question number one, I guess, I'll probably ask you the same as I did before, 105.2B. Is there anything we can do about the height on this?
Yes. So, but I do want to just say, Mr. Chair, and this one is a wider property, so ultimately the wider house. And I do want the board to truly understand that we designed this to meet the criteria, the zoning analysis. So, both side yards meet for the house itself, meet the side yard. But because it's wider and we understand heights, and I understand zoning, and I appreciate zoning. Otherwise, we're going to have Queens and Manhattan all over the place on Long Island. The encroachment itself is not there. It's the stair. When the house got wider, we lowered the pitch. So the last house, as an example, was an 8 pitch. This one is just a 6 pitch, which still puts us 2 foot 4.5 inches over. I'm okay if the board is okay about lowering the pitch down. I appreciate that. I don't want to set any precedents in any town, and I work from Montauk to Manhattan. I'm not looking to necessarily set any precedents, but as an architect, I do have a little bit of value in aesthetics of homes, and I get the zoning codes and what they're all about, but sometimes the zoning code overtakes the aesthetics of a house, and I'm not pleading to allow us this additional height. Value-wise, there's nothing additional to it for the attic space, except being able to store some additional Christmas things or anything like that. It is an aesthetic factor, and I see it a lot in other towns that they've limited the actual pitches allowed to be. And aesthetically, the houses are not as pleasing as they are when they have a higher pitch, unfortunately.
Okay. All right.
I'm trying to see the actual height of each floor.
If you
And
look
maybe
at
you could help me out with what we're looking
A5,
at.
do you have your
A5 each floor?
A5? Yes, sir. There is a cross section.
I know, I'm looking at, I can't read the numbers.
Oh, you have a smaller version, and I so apologize.
They're 8 foot ceiling heights.
Everything. It's 8 foot as the garage level, 8 foot what we'll call the first foot, which is actually considered the second, and 8 foot for the second, which is considered the third.
Right, I was just looking to see if there was space there, but there isn't.
Additionally, these houses, a lot of them today, because of the spans, nobody asks for a 12-foot room anymore. Which you could deal with within a 2x8, or even if you have a little bit larger, 2x10. So this is all done in a TGI, a tongue and groove eye joist, which allows for this much larger spans, which unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on which end of the stick you're on, is a little bit higher profiled, which also takes up a little bit.
Is this a flip house also?
I apologize, I didn't hear you.
Is this a flip house also? Are
It
they
is.
flipping this house also?
Are they flipping the house?
Oh, yes. He bought these as a package deal, the two of them together. Yes. So this will be a flip house. Yes.
So what else? What would you be able to do to reduce the height? Because as Commissioner Acevedo was saying, it is a new house. So, I mean, you know what the codes are, you know what you could build.
Sure.
And we really like to see you try to keep it within the code.
So what I can do is I can lower the pitch. I don't have my calculator or my computer in front of me. I could lower the pitch down, one pitch, which would be instead of a 6-on-12 would become a 5-on-12. As an architect, I'm not in love with that, but it can be done. Which should, because of the span of this house, should lower it dramatically. And I don't know if it's okay with the board, but I would accept the factor that the board takes it that it's approved with a 5 pitch versus the 6 pitch, which over that span has got to lower it a foot. Because if the house itself's width is 32 feet, it's going to lower it over a foot. So at 16, which would be the halfway point on 12, it's going to lower it a foot and 3, maybe a foot 2, maybe 3 inches.
Right,
and then would you want to match?
Sorry,
would you want to match the house next to it with the 5-on-1 pitch too as well? So that way you get that into the code, the one that we already approved. Just asking, because I mean for continuity.
So do you mean lower it to a 5 pitch, or do you mean lower it to the same height that the house next door is?
Either one.
We're kind of late on that one, Dan.
Yeah, we're late. I know I'm late on that. So I was just I'm just saying if we could do a 5-on-1 pitch, it would probably not need the variance, the other one. So, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, so it's a 6 pitch. At the 5 pitch, I'm telling you, that's going to be, it should be right around. Let me get my phone. Can the board give me 1 minute?
Sure. I'm thinking that by lowering it to the 5, you're going to be pretty similar to the house next door.
Be within.
You're going to be pretty much 26.
Yeah.
If it's so a 6-on-12 pitch, okay, so that every 12 inches, or should I say every 12 feet, it raises 6 inches, and this is 16 feet to the midpoint. It's going to lower it a foot. I'd have to do that calculation. I apologize. It's going to lower it over a foot. But if the board wants us to lower it to 26 to make it even with the other, I'm an easygoing guy.
Your floor structure is approximately 2 feet, I guess, because you're not using any bearing walls at all.
So the floor structure actually theoretically is even more than that, because if you count the ceiling system, the fortunate thing is I'm able to sneak the rafters onto the top plate of the second floor. And you are correct, by the way.
Which would normally be maybe 16 inches instead of 20.
Combined. That's correct. Like I said earlier, you know, we don't get in my office anymore anybody asking for a 12-foot room. That just doesn't exist anymore.
Any other comments?
I'm okay as far as the height goes. I'm just thinking about the rear yard. Is that because of how irregular the lot is?
So, and again, you know, Mr. Sabito, I'm taking a wild guess at this, but the MLK Community Center is one house and right around the corner on Riverside Boulevard. So it looks to me like at some point when that was built, they seemingly commandeered that space, both from the house, which would be directly next door, which would be the corner house on East Fulton Street and Riverside Boulevard, as well as my client's house. Obviously, because of the oddity of the shape, and this house has been there much longer than that building's been there. I'm sure that they didn't design it that way because it's not the ultimate backyard. And the answer to your question is yes. The reason is, so this backyard is exactly what the backyard is today. So although we're not building it on the same foundation because the foundation is a little screwy because of Sandy, the backyard is at 5.25 today, and on our proposed house, it's 5.25.
Okay, so the backyard at its narrowest point, it's at 5.25 feet. But
Yes.
It seems like when you go over
To the west.
Then it goes back to the 100-foot mark.
That is correct.
There's
So
sort of like a quasi triangle trapezoid thing going on there.
I like the way you put that. And we could put that into the dictionary.
So
Yes.
Is there anything in the space that's not owned by this property? That other trapezoid funky triangle section? Is there anything there?
It's a parking lot.
Parking lot, okay,
Yeah, for the MLK Community Center.
got it. Okay.
In addition, I would like to state again, you know, we designed this house to fit all the zoning criteria. So again, this house is narrower than what the original house was. So the additional side yard encroachment or less. Yes, unfortunately, we're encroaching with the steps, but trying to get that parking on the underside forces us to bring the steps around the side, which is the side yard encroachment.
Gotcha. Okay.
Any other members of the board with questions? Robin, anyone in the audience want to speak?
Yes, hold on 1 second. We have James Hodge.
Okay. James, we have him on?
James, before you speak, I think Assistant Corporation Counsel Lupo wanted to say something.
Okay, go ahead.
Again, just for the record, you know, the owners of the home have no intention of making this a two-family.
They have not explained that to me at all, sir.
Thank you much.
James, just unmute yourself. James, state your name and address for the record.
You're on, James. And he's off. There he is.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you now.
Well,
okay. I just wanted to say that the both of those houses are next door to me. I grew up in both of those properties. Also, the yard that you're speaking about, that was part of my yard growing up. in the 70s, and that was part of my family's yard, and we had to have a garage until the amazing, beautiful Martin Luther King Center came to do a service and help out people in the neighborhood. So I just wanted to add that in. And the neighbor, the owner, has been speaking to me for the last several months. I don't have a problem with what he's looking to do. And again, so so I just wanted to say that was, yes, that was a part of 95 East Fulton Street in the beginning, and that tree that's right there on adjacent to the gate, that was where we had a garage. My father used to have a garage, so I just wanted to come on and say that I'm in support of my next door neighbor that bought these homes, and I don't see a problem.
Great, thank you.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Jane. Thanks for the input. Okay, is there anyone else?
I would just like to comment.
Go ahead.
First and foremost to James, thank you. I don't know James. I haven't met him, nor has he been paid by me to say all that. But I just want him to understand that, you know, my client's intention is to make these very nice houses in comparison to what James knows what he's living next to right now.
Okay. Does anybody want to make a motion on this case tonight?
I would make a motion to grant with getting the roof pitch down to 5. So I would grant with conditions.
Okay, and I would second that.
Can you just say those conditions again, Esteban?
Sure, it's granting with the roof pitch going down to a 5 over 12.
6 on 12 to 5 on 12.
5 on, right.
You got that,
Going
Rob?
from a 6 on 12 to a 5 on 12.
Okay. Case number 3226, application of a demo CLP of 3499 East Bay Court, Merrick, New York, for a variance in the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.2 B height, 9-105.2 D side yard, 9-105.2 E rear yard, 9-105.2 I minimum lot size to construct a new one-family house at 93 East Fulton Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 92, Lot 149, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Commissioner Acevedo will introduce a motion to grant the application with conditions. Chairman Morelli has seconded the motion. Commissioner Creighton,
Grant with condition.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner Brooks,
Grant with conditions.
Commissioner Leonetti,
Right, with conditions.
Chairman Morelli.
Grant with conditions.
This application has been granted with the conditions stated on the record.
Thank you all. I hope you have a great night.
Thank you, you too.
Great.
We just have one extension, Rocco.
Okay.
Everybody. Hold on 1 second. Case number 3134, application of PSG Construction Incorporated, care of Paul Grossman of 54 Regent Drive, Lido Beach, New York, and LG Long Beach Realty LLC of 180 East Park Avenue, Long Beach, New York, for an extension of the variance granted by the Zoning Board of Appeals for construction of a new 2-story commercial building at 180 East Park Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 110, lots 32 through 35 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Who will make a motion on this application?
I'll move to grant.
Who will second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Acevedo a second. Chairman Morelli has introduced a motion to grant the application. Commissioner Acevedo has seconded the motion. Oh, and just they asked for a 6-month extension. Commissioner
Okay.
Creighton,
Grant.
Commissioner Acevedo,
Grant.
Commissioner Brooks,
Grant.
Commissioner Leonetti,
Grant.
Chairman Morelli.
Grant 6 months.
This application has been granted a 6-month extension. That is it.
All right. I want to thank everyone present at the meeting tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Anyone still in the audience, thank you for attending our meeting. If there are no other items of business, then we will close this meeting. And cases remain opening as we stated earlier. Thank you, everyone on the board for tonight, and look forward to seeing you again.
Good night.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
We'll see you live next month.
Yes,
All
I'm so
right.
excited.
Robin, is that happening?
Does that mean